I used to teach in the children's ministry at my church, and as you can imagine, I saw some pretty funny stuff. But there's one kid who still sticks out in my mind to this day. Now, at the time, he was 4 years old, and he would show up to church every single Sunday in a Superman costume. I'm talking mask, cape, full head-to-toe costume, zooming around kids' church with his arms stretched out. This kid was unashamed. He knew exactly what he wanted. He wanted to be Superman, and he was gonna be Superman and pursue that regardless of what you or any other adult or kid for that matter thought. See, this kid had something that most of us have lost. That's our dreams. This little guy had dreams at the forefront of his mind all day long, every single day. He knew that he wanted to be Superman, and so he did the one thing that he knew would help him achieve that goal. He dressed like Superman. And most importantly, he didn't care that nobody else around him was trying to be Superman, or any other superhero for that matter. He remained committed to his dream regardless. Now, at some point along the way to growing up, most of us, we stopped chasing our dreams. But growing up doesn't have to mean giving up. And I know it might sound crazy, but I think that there's something we can all learn from my 4-year-old friend, Superman. Ask a kid what he wants to do or be when he grows up, and I bet you $1 million he won't say, sit in a desk chair at a job that I hate for 40 years so that I can come home and live for the weekends. No, normally that kid will say something so big that it makes us adults chuckle a little bit inside, like the President of the United States, or an astronaut, or a musician, or maybe in today's world, a professional video game player, or a YouTuber. Kids, they don't worry about how realistic those things are. They just answer the question honestly of what they want. Now, I know the odds of becoming some of those things are slim to none. Okay, I get that. Heck, if you would have asked 13-year-old me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would have told you a rock star. And spoiler alert, that didn't happen. But my interest changed, and for most kids, their interests will too. Here's the problem though. Along with our interests changing, we start to let society steal our ability to dream. We start believing that certain things are impossible, or that we're not smart enough or talented enough to do them. And what's even worse is we start believing lies, like, yeah, well, that person over there, they can do that, but that's not for me. I can't do that. So we defeat ourselves. We give up before we even try, and we end up wasting away in jobs and careers that we hate. Get this, in 1987, 61.1% of people said that they were satisfied with their job. But by 2013, that number had dropped significantly to 47.7%, which means over half the people in this country don't like their job. Now, I believe this is partly because we give up on our dreams. We let other people tell us what is realistic and what we should want. To see what I mean, check out this great clip from the movie Up in the Air.
How much did they first pay you to give up on your dreams?
27 grand a year.
And when were you going to stop and come back and do what makes you happy?
Good question.
That's one of my favorite movie scenes of all time, and I think you'll really get something out of it, so I'll link to the full clip in the description down below. The bottom line here is that we stop dreaming and we settle. And I'm not even just talking about careers. We tell ourselves that we can't afford or can't go and travel to the places that we want to travel, or live in the cities that we want to live in, or even just do the things we want to do and buy the things that we want to buy. We stop believing that we can actually achieve these big things in our life that we used to dream about. And so we defeat ourselves from the get-go, and then we start to overspend to compensate for our unhappiness. Most of us spend the majority of our life working this job that we hate. So then we start buying stuff to make us hate our life less, but then we have to keep working the job in order to pay for the stuff, and then we buy more stuff. And we end up in this terrible cycle while leaving our dreams way in the past in this puddle of hopelessness and sorrow. But at this point, I want to stop and turn this video into something practical. Let's look at a very specific example that really exemplifies the point that my friend Paula Pant always says: you can afford anything, you just can't afford everything. So we've got this couple, let's just call them Bob and Betty, and they dream of taking a 14-day Alaskan cruise for two. Now, the trip cost $4,000, so how in the world can they come up with the money for their anniversary in just 6 months? On the surface, they feel like it's impossible, so they may as well just give up, right? Wrong. First, they cut the cable bill. Now, the average American spends $100 a month on cable, so they get rid of that completely and instead add Netflix for $10 a month, so that's a net $90 per month. Now, at 6 months, there's $540. Second, they stop going out to eat for lunch at work. Now, the average American goes out to eat for lunch twice per week for $10 each time. If they both agreed to cut just one lunch outing, that's $10 at 4 weeks a month, times 2 people, times 6 months, gets us to $480. So now the total is up to $1,020. Next, they scrap their fancy iPhones and their $150 a month cell phone bill and instead switch to Republic Wireless, which drops their bill drastically down to $25 a month for both of them. This gives them an extra $125 a month that they can save, which after 6 months turns to $750, which brings our total up to $1,770. Now at this point, Bob and Betty could keep cutting, but they like their lifestyle how it is, so they'd rather take some time and just pick up some extra income on the weekends. They both get part-time minimum wage jobs at a local coffee shop, so they're making $6 an hour after taxes, and they both work 8 hours extra per weekend. After 6 months, that brings in an additional $2,304, which brings our total up to $4,074. Time to book the cruise. Now, that was an oversimplified example, but the point here is that by simply deciding to choose to give up things that mattered less to them, Bob and Betty were able to make some decisions that allowed them to take their dream anniversary trip that before seemed impossible. And they didn't have to live in a shack to do it or give up anything that they normally do with friends. They simply just cut cable, downgraded their phones, quit eating out once per week each, and picked up some extra hours on the weekend to add some additional income. And those changes allowed them to take that dream vacation in just 6 months. And if you're really good at math, you probably notice here that if you do that for a whole year, all of a sudden that's $8,000. And I don't know about you, but an extra $8,000 in our budget would go a long way. Now, was that easy? No. Was it instant gratification? Not at all. Did some of their friends laugh and scoff at them for getting an extra job? Probably. But can you make your dreams a reality if you make them a priority? Absolutely. The problem is that you oftentimes just don't want it bad enough to make the sacrifices required to get there. Maybe your dream is going back to school in your 40s because you finally figured out what it is that you want to pursue. Or maybe it's working hard at your 9 to 5 so that you can build your business on the nights and weekends and eventually break out on your own. Whatever it is, I don't want you to give up. Do you want to be a chef? Stop paying for cable every month and use that money to buy an online class. Want to travel the world? Quit spending so much money going out to eat and start saving for that backpacking trip across Europe. It's going to require sacrifice, but there's nothing in life worth anything that comes without a price. Achieving your dreams takes grit, but it's totally worth it. So please, I am begging you to get back to your roots and dream like a kid. Dream big, because all those things that you think are impossible in your head aren't if you're willing to put in the work and the sacrifice to get there. The thing is that I can give you tips and tricks on getting out of debt and investing and saving and setting up a retirement plan and 10 different ideas for how to make money on the side. But if you're not clear on those dreams, if you're not clear on why you're doing all of these things, why you're watching this channel, you won't do any of that. You will settle. You'll settle for what other people say is possible and what other people say you should want. It's up to you to decide to put in the effort to chase those dreams, just like my friend Superman. So put on your Superman suit, zoom around the room with your arms stretched out for a little while, and start chasing your dreams just like a kid would. Now, if you like this video, please leave a comment down below and let me know what your dream is. I really want to know. As always, be sure to subscribe to this channel for more videos just like this. And remember, I can teach you about dreaming and saving and investing and all these things, but I can't make you do it. The choice is yours. I'll see y'all next time.